Good afternoon, everybody. This is Joe DeLizio from the National Weather Service here in Gaylord. It's 1 o'clock, so we're back here for another weekly winter webinar. A little bit to talk about, so we'll kind of get right into it. That being said, I did want to remind you guys that there is the question box, and if you have a question, please put that in the box there, or the chat window, whatever you want to call it, and we'll get to it at the end of the presentation here. So as we like to do here, here's a review of sort of the recent trends here from January 7th through the 13th, the last 7 days or so. Temperature difference from average on the left-hand side with precipitation in the middle and snowfall on the right-hand side. And generally speaking, it's been sort of just some pretty typical January weather. Temperatures have been near to a little bit below normal across a good chunk of northern Michigan. Precipitation a little bit below normal, but snowfall has been, if you want to average it out, near normal across a good chunk of the area. So just some pretty typical January weather, some snowy conditions, some cold. And if we want to look at the actual averages for that, so temperatures between 15 and 20 degrees, the average during this time. Some precipitation did fall and a couple inches of snow, to several inches of snow across the area during that time frame. So that being said, how are we looking as far as the current snow depth and the seasonal snow? Snow depth on the right-hand side here, you can see a 6 to 12 inches across a good chunk of our west and northwest snow belts here. A little bit higher west and southwest of Gaylord near Kalkaska and Mansalona. And then 15 to 20 inches across the eastern UP. So pretty good snowpack in our general lake effect areas. The farther east and southeast you go, the lesser you have, which is pretty typical, but we did have a little bit of snow over the past couple of days from Mayo and Oscoda on northward. Now, as far as the seasonal snowfall and where we're standing, well, places like Petoskey, Traverse City, Gaylord, the Sioux, for our climate sites, the green bar here shows that we are above the typical, the normal to date snowfall for this time of year. Some places are actually approaching the normal for the entire season, or at least within 10 to 20 inches at the Sioux here. So our lake effect zones certainly have been quite active, at least through middle January at this point. Places outside of there like West Branch, Houghton Lake, Alpena, closer to normal for this time of year. So pretty active were the snow belts, but we've only had generally some light system snows. That being said, what are we expecting here in the next 24 hours or so, 18 to 24 hours? We do have the potential for some more accumulating lake effect snow, an additional 2 to 4 inches across the northwest snow belts, locally up to 6. The best chance for that will be that Kalkaska, Antrim County region, especially Kalkaska towards Mansalona. Lesser amounts elsewhere. There is a secondary kind of bullseye here from Leelanau and Benzie County. You can get some of the higher end of some of these additional 2 to 4 totals. Wind gusts 15 to 25 miles per hour through the day today and into the overnight will lead to some blowing snow at times and occasionally reduce the visibilities. And then again, the focus of the heavy snowfall will shift at times, especially this evening into tonight, as we kind of get a feature moving in aloft. And so your winds will be shifting from the west to the northwest and then maybe back to sort of the west-northwest direction. So we will get some wiggling or shifting like effect snow bands this evening into tonight. And again, the focus will be that Antrim and Kalkaska County. A dry snow 20-to-1 ratio as well, as we've been seeing as of recent. So outside of today and tonight, what about the next 7 days or so? Should clear out for the most part. It could be just some light nuisance like effect snow showers on Wednesday, but later Wednesday into Thursday, we got our next system. It's going to be a clipper system with generally light accumulations. There could be some lake enhancement that adds a couple inches to that light accumulations, generally speaking, near the Lake Michigan shoreline. And then maybe we get some snow showers again for Friday into Saturday. We're kind of looking at a system as well. But again, generally looks relatively light at this time. Frigid air then plunges into the region later into the weekend and into early next week, which will ultimately result in some wind chills or some low wind chills and then the potential for some lake effect snows. The intensity, the efficiency are all up for debate at this time, but definitely looks like the potential is out there at least Sunday into early next week for some lake effect snows. So talking a little bit more about the cold, outlined pretty well here in the CPC outlook for a good chunk of the country, really, but we have about an 80 to 90% chance during this time frame, January 19th to 23rd, which is generally that Sunday into the middle portions of next week time frame for below average temperatures. And then we have a little bit of a potential for some of that above normal precipitation, which could be highlighting some of that lake effect snow potential. Another way to look at it is sort of the longer range risk that this Climate Prediction Center does put out here every so often. And so we do have a moderate risk for some of those hazardous temperatures, that hazardous cold temperatures for that time frame that we mentioned. Now, what does that sort of look like here of the longer range temperature outlook here? You got, this is just a simple line graph, temperatures on the left-hand side, the dates up top. So we do have a warming trend here as we approach the latter portions of this week. Highs may be approaching freezing or a little bit above for a good chunk of the area. And then as we head into Saturday, especially Sunday through early next week, temperatures really do plummet here as we get that Arctic air mass in here. High temperatures look to be in the single digits for a couple of days across the majority of the region. Low temperatures near or well below zero for some areas. And then the right-hand map here does show the wind chill. And so we do see the potential for below or between -10 and -20 wind chills. Obviously, that'll be fine-tuned here in the coming days, but pretty cold air mass, especially this is going to be basically a widespread thing for a good chunk of northern Michigan. So what about some of the water temperatures here? We are still above normal as far as the Lake Superior and Michigan are concerned. Now, that'll certainly decrease in the coming days, coming weeks as well, as we get some of that colder air in here. Similarly, with the Great Lakes ice coverage as well. Right now, we are below normal for Lake Superior and Lake Michigan as well. But obviously, with that colder air impending or potential as we head into Sunday and beyond, that'll definitely increase some of this ice potential. Spatially, what does it look like? You got some, obviously, your ice near Saginaw Bay and ice near the Straits, stretching out towards Beaver Island as well. So not a whole lot at this time, but certainly signs there. And again, this will definitely increase in spatial coverage and thickness as well as we go forward here. So just bringing it all together here, some key messages. Again, lake effect snow through tonight, additional 2 to 4 inches, locally up to 6. The best chance for that will be Kalkaska and Antrim County. Generally much quieter as we head into the day on Wednesday, but Wednesday night into Thursday, we do have another clipper system with another round of light snow generally, but there is some lake enhancement possible along the Lake Michigan shoreline, and then either a brief lull or just some snow shower potential remaining later this week. But the more active pattern and the bitterly cold weather does move in this weekend into early next week. Again, highs could be single digits and well below zero lows and wind chills. So that'll generally do it here. Here's your additional information. This will be recorded and posted on the link here on our YouTube channel. And here are just some other helpful resources as well. So that's about it as far as my discussion is concerned. Unless there is questions, feel free to ask them. I'll stay on for a couple minutes here, maybe another minute or two. Otherwise, we will end this webinar. Sure. I think I can actually type it for you here. So let me just do that. think it says my answer there. So Joseph DeLizio is my name. It should be answered there for you. Yep, no problem. Does look like most of the rest of us have hopped offline. So at this point, thanks for tuning in, and I guess we'll end the webinar. Thanks.